Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of Salesforce Admin Certification Series. Here is a little bit about me. I'm the speaker of the day. My name is Arpit Vijayvargiya. I am a Salesforce technical specialist at TechMatrix Consulting. I'm a group leader of Salesforce Architect Group Ajmer, co-founder of Blaze Your Certification. You can follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm thankful to our host today, Mr. Amit Chaudhary. He is a Salesforce MVP and organizer of Apex Hearts. So today our agenda will be like we will cover configuration and setup part from the exam outline, and the weightage of configuration and setup is 20% in the exam. So it is very important topic, and under this particular topic, we'll cover company setup, user setup, security setup, and little bit about UI setup. Okay, so coming to the company setup, so whenever an organization purchases Salesforce org, the first thing we need to set up in that particular org is information about that particular company. So in Salesforce, we have following terms which we'll walk through and we will see in the Salesforce also. So on the company information page, we can show all the important information related to a company, like the name of the company, the contact person for that particular company in Salesforce, or the licenses, the edition of that. Okay, that thing we can see into company information page. The second thing, we have fiscal year. So fiscal year means financial calendar year for a company. So in Salesforce, there are two type of fiscal years are available. Which is first is standard fiscal year. Second is custom fiscal year. So and in custom fiscal year, we can set the dates and time as per our need, like dates, start date and date as per the company's customized requirements. Okay, and this financial calendar year is used in the reports forecasting. Apart from it, in the company setup, we can set the business hours also. So once we set up the calendar year, then we need to set up the business hours, like what what are the hours in that company works. Okay, and this business hour impact the working hour of support team. So we'll learn about support team into service applications. And while setting up the business hours, if the organization doesn't work on a particular day, then we can put a blank hours for it. Okay. Once business are set up, now we need to define the holidays for a particular company. Okay. So holiday define a date and time on which a business are suspended. Okay. Which means on the holiday date and time, the business will not be working. So business hours will not be in impact for that particular date and time. We can set a recurring holidays also. Okay. And if we set a recurring holiday for each month, let's suppose that on that particular date doesn't occur in that month, then holiday will not be treated. So let's suppose we say like on the every 31st, every month, 31st of each month, there will be holiday in the company. So if in any month there is 31st is not a date, then there will not be any holidays created. Okay. Holiday can be assigned with the business hours. So once we create a holiday, we can assign it with the business hours also. And we can associate total 1000 holiday with each set of business hours. So it means in the company, we can define the different business hours also. Okay. Now let's see them in action into Salesforce, like how this works into the Salesforce and how we can set up these into the Salesforce. Okay. So let's move to the Salesforce screen. Okay. So the first thing, we'll see what information we can see into the company information. So we need to go into the setup. Here we will search for company information. Okay. On the company information, we can see the organization name, the primary contact, okay, the address of the company, financial year starts in the January. We can set the default time zone, okay, the currency local. We can see how much data has been used into the Salesforce. Okay, the file space we can see. Okay, the company's edition we can see, organization edition. This organization ID, so it is highly required when we raise a support case with the Salesforce support team. Instance ID, like instance name we can see here. So it is required when some incidents occur at the Salesforce site. So when we go on the trust.salesforce.com, we can capture like what happened to our instance. Okay. Below to it, we can see the available licenses also. So let's what kind of licenses and the number of total licenses company has purchased, how many we have used, how many are remaining. Okay. So these are the basic details which we can see on company information. Of course, we can edit this there are some information which we can edit, not the whole information. Like organization name, we can change the primary contact, we can change phone and page, we can add. If you want to update the address of that company, we can update it here. The default local we can change here. Okay. Language we can change. The time zone we can set from here. Okay. So these are the information which we can see and edit on the company information. Now coming to the next thing, so it was financial year. Okay, okay. So as I described, like there are two type of financial years are available. One is standard fiscal year, and second is custom fiscal year. So if we set the custom fiscal year, okay, if we enable it, then we cannot disable it again. Okay, so like before enabling the custom fiscal year, always like first finalize it, like it's gonna help you or not. Okay, if it needs it's coming under your requirement, then only just enable it. Okay, and in a standard fiscal year we can we can set this the the start month of fiscal year. Okay, now the next was business hours. So in business hours, like we can create the multiple business hours, and one business hour will be marked as a default hour. So let me create a new business hour. Okay, and let me mention it like okay, and the time zone I will set is 5:30. Okay, so let's suppose my company works in India also, and on Monday, Monday to Friday, they works for 9 to 5. Okay, and Sunday and Saturday is holiday, so we left it blank. Okay, now I'm saving it. Okay, the next topic was holidays. Okay, so I'm coming here and setting up the holiday. So let's suppose we have holiday for Diwali. Diwali, let's say um, New Year Eve. Okay, so on 31st December, we will have a holiday. Okay, and it will be holiday for whole day. And if we set a recurring holiday, then we can describe like on every year. Okay, there will be holiday. So it's like a never ending. So I'm saving it as a recurring holiday. Okay. Now once holiday is set up, we need to add the business hour to that particular holiday, like for which business hour it's applicable. Okay. Okay. So we, like when we were adding it here, so we are not able to see the India here. So what happened, like when we created a business hour, so we forgot to activate it. I'm going back to business hour and let's activate it. Okay. I'm going on the India. I will edit it and I will click on this checkbox also. And to add the holidays, we can add holidays from here also. Okay. I could see like New Year's is there and I save it. Okay. So attach a holiday with the business hour, we have two options. From the business hours page also we can add, and from holiday page also we can add. So holiday page we were able to see here. We can add and remove. So if I added a business hour holiday with the business hour from the business hour page, then also it's visible here. Okay. So this was about our little bit the initial setup of a company information. Okay. Now the next setup is like when we have set up the company's information, then the next step to set up some users in the Salesforce org. So user can log in into Salesforce and they can perform some actions if they want to do. Or this user can be two types of users are there. One is a human user and another is non-human user. So in human user, there's a person who will be logging into the Salesforce. Okay. He can be our sales representative. He can be our marketing manager. He can be our director. Okay, these kind of persons who physically available, they physically will enter the username and password and log in into the Salesforce. Second type of user are non-human user. So these users, like we need to create these user in Salesforce to let them access the Salesforce, but not a actual physical user will be using them. So for example, integration user. So integration user is some, like this user can be used to integrate between two systems. Okay, username and password will be used for this user, but there is no actual person who will be entering the username and password for this particular user. Okay, so whenever we create a user, so either it's a human user or non-human user, we need a license. So every user will consume at least one license. Okay. So license you were able to see on the company information page, like how many licenses we have purchased and how many are in use. Okay. Whenever we are creating a user, we need to define a profile and a role to a user. And a user can have single role and a single profile. A user cannot be associated with multiple profiles and multiple roles. Once we have created a user, it can never be deleted. Okay, we can never delete a user once it is created. Okay. Uh, if you have to create a multiple users in Salesforce, instead of creating one by one, there is a facility of creating multiple users in Salesforce with the help of add multiple user button. And there is a limitation with this particular feature. Is like you can create 10 users in a single attempt. So more than 10 users you cannot create. Doesn't matter how many licenses are available. If you can have more than 10 licenses available, but there is a limit of creating 10 users in a single attempt with this multiple user button. Okay, so let's see in action like how we can create a user. Okay, so I'm moving to the Salesforce again. I will go on users. I will search for user. I'll click here. Okay. I need to click, like I will click on this new user button. Okay. These are the information which we need to fill up here. So I will walk through with some basic and required information here only. So the first thing, like we need to put a first name, last name. So let's suppose Arpit of XR. Okay, alias will be automatically updated. Alias will be unique in your org. You cannot use same alias for more than one user. Okay. Email I am putting vijay@gmail.com. Nickname was automatically populated. My username. So username, we can set like we need to put a username in a email style, but it should not be like it's not necessary to be an actual email. So let's suppose my email is vijay.vijay@gmail.com. But if I append apexr in the backend, it will allow me to create a user. Okay. Company name I can put tech metrics. Okay. Role we need to decide. So let's see. We have this role. We'll talk about more into detail about this roles. License. I'm selecting Salesforce license here. So this is the Salesforce license. As per the license, profile will get changed. So if I select a different license, let's suppose Salesforce platform, so the profiles will be different. Okay. So in Salesforce license, let's suppose I'm creating a system admin, another user as a system admin. Okay. Apart from these informations, we have like we can put the phone number, mobile number here. Address also of this particular user can be put here. These are the local settings. Okay. So by default, this settings come up like it use the setting we set into the company information. Okay. So let's suppose if your company is working into a single country, or if your users are in a single country, then always set these time zones, locales, and language with respect to that particular country. So whenever you create a new user, these particular information will be used from that particular company information page. But we have rights to change it from here. So let's suppose my company information, my time zone was this GMT -7, but the user I'm creating Arpit, he's working to the India time zone. So I will set his local as in India time. Okay, rest is okay, like English and all. And when we click this, so generate new password and notify user immediately. So what happens? Like if this checkbox is on, as soon as I will click on the save button, this user will like the on this user's email, one email will send out, and in that email there will be a link of setting up the password. So sometime what happens if you do not want to send that particular email, you just want to create a user for now, and in later phase you like after some time, after 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, you want to send this email, then what you need to do, you need to remove this checkbox from like while creating a user from Salesforce. Okay. So I have saved this information. I have created this user. Okay. So now user has been created into Salesforce. Okay. I was telling about one more feature like add multiple users. So this button can be seen here. Okay. And what happens like we need to select a license here. So again, I'm selecting Salesforce license because I have enough licenses for Salesforce user. You could see uh, the count like one, two. So bare minimum information we need to put here. The first name, last name, email, profile, and roles. Okay. These are the minimum required details for creating a user. Okay. So you could see like total 10 information are here. Okay. If you want to add more user, will not be able to do like at least this 10 users. We need to put the information for these 10 users. Okay. And we need to save them. And the same option we have for generate password and notify user via email. So if in bulk also, if we are creating a user, we have rights to like if we have option to choose like we want to send this email or not. Okay. So this was about how we can create a user in Salesforce. Now coming back to the slides. Okay. So let's suppose you have created a users. Okay. Now user are trying to log in into Salesforce. Okay. But they are making a complaint like they are not able to log in into the Salesforce. So on every user page, we can see the login history. In login history, we will be able to see like when this user tried to log in. Okay. And was that user able to log in successfully in the Salesforce? Okay. So this is the first place whenever a user is complaining that he's not able to log in, as a system admin, this is the first place we'll check like if this user can log in or not. Okay. I'm moving to again the user page. So I'm 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 a system admin and so it's not in place. Okay. So I'm a system admin and I'm going into the my particular my own users detail. Okay. See, you can see this is the login history. So when I was trying to log in, so it has my source IP. It has like a login type also. Like I was trying to log in with the remote access client. Okay, which application I was trying to log in. So this was like browser, Salesforce CLI, even my location, my IP also. So sometime if I'm not able to log in, so it will say it will give my access status like I'm like not able to log in, and it will mention also like why I'm not able to log in. Sometime what can happen, I may try like I can put a wrong password, right? And I'm saying like I'm not able to log in. So this will be mentioned here like why this user was not able to log in. Okay. And uh, from this like these are very limited rows are here, but we can download the last 6 months login history via this button. Okay, so when we click on this particular button, a CSV file will be downloaded and it will have a history of this particular user, login history of this particular user for last 6 months. Okay, moving to the next topic. So we mentioned like user cannot be deleted into the Salesforce. Okay, so now we have another question in our mind. Like if we have created a user and after some time, if we do not want to won't allow him to log in into the Salesforce, what we will do? How we will stop him logging into the Salesforce? Okay, and another question we have in our mind like why user cannot be deleted? Okay, so because user is the person who is performing so many activities into the Salesforce. So for to track that activities, to keep a history of that activities, Salesforce doesn't allow to delete the user record. Okay, so if we do not want a user to log in into Salesforce, we have two features in Salesforce. Either we can deactivate the user or we can freeze the user. Okay. So in the both cases, the user will not be able to log in into the Salesforce. Okay. Now, if in the both cases user is not able to log in into the Salesforce, then what's the difference between both of them? Okay. So when we freeze a user will not be allowed to log in only. Okay, like in both cases, login will be restricted for this user. But in deactivate, like when we deactivate the user, there is few more things we is there also. Like initially we understood like whenever we are creating a user, it consumes one license. So first difference between both of them is like when we deactivate the user, the license will also get released. Okay, so we can utilize that particular license to create another user. Okay, but when we are freezing a user, that license is not released. We cannot use that license to create another user in Salesforce. Okay. Okay. Now the next question is like when we need to use freeze a user or when we need to deactivate the user. Okay. So sometime if you're not aware like where this user is being in use and what are the dependencies of this user into Salesforce, then the first step you can freeze that user. Okay, so the user will not be able to log in. And now you can remove these dependencies from that user. So what kind of dependencies which do not allow a user to deactivate? So if a user is default owner of leads, if he's a default or automated case owner, he's a default lead creator owner. If this user is set as a default workflow user, if this user is set as a recipient in any workflow email alert, and if this user is part of any custom hierarchy fields, then these are the some of scenario some of conditions in that we cannot deactivate a user. Okay, so if these are the cases you see in your org for that user whom you are going to deactivate, I suggest you just go and freeze that user and then remove this dependency and then you can deactivate that user. Okay. So let's see how we can deactivate this user and how we can freeze the user in Salesforce. Let's see into the Excel. So I was on the user page. So if you want to deactivate the user, okay, well, simply, okay, let me go on to the another user because this is the actual user from which I'm logging. Okay, so let me go on to the user page. Okay, let's say this is another user we have is Ansuja. Okay. So you can see there is a button of freezing a freeze. So if you click on this freeze, okay, user is freeze. Now this user will not be able to log in. Okay, and once we unfreeze this user will be login, will be able to log in. Now, if you want to deactivate that user, okay, then let me show you the like how this information is changed into the company information also. Okay, so you can see 13 licenses we already have use of Salesforce. Okay, Salesforce type of license we already have use. Okay, now let me let me deactivate this user. So I need to I will click on the edit. Will remove this and now save it. So in this case also, user will not be able to log in into Salesforce. Okay. I was telling you like if user is part of any email alert, he will not be like will not be able to log in into that. So same happened to here. Okay, user is part of an email alert. Okay, so what I can do, let me find another user. Okay, let's do this for this user. We recently created this user, right? So I'm clicking on it. I will deactivate this user. Okay, now in the once we deactivate this user will not be able to log in into Salesforce. Okay, now let's see in the company information. Like, is there any impact? Now you can see earlier 13 licenses were in use, now 12 licenses are in use because we have deactivated one user. Okay. Now when we deactivate the user, there are more options like we can remove this user from multiple places also. Like this user is part of any teams like opportunity in case team. That thing we can also remove from while we are deactivating the user. Let me activate this user again. Okay. Now if you see you consume one more license. Now I'm freezing this user. I'm not deactivating this user. Okay, now see, there is no impact on this. Correct. So that's the difference between deactivating a user or freezing a user. Coming back to slides. Okay. So now next we have security setup in Salesforce. So for the security setup, we have following terminology in Salesforce, like profile, permission set, public group, roles. Okay. So in profile, what we can control is like objects permission we can control, field level permission we can control, text visibility, login hours, and login IP ranges we can control. So what a profile? So profile is a collection of settings and permission in Salesforce, like what a user can do in Salesforce. Following type of permission can be managed under profile. So app permission means like what Salesforce apps can a user see in Salesforce can be controlled via app permission. Second, tabs visibility. So which tabs he can see into particular app. And for tabs, we have three options: default on, default off, and tab hidden. So if a tab is hidden, then the user will not be able to see the tab. If, if tab visibility is set as a default off, then either like even though the tab is added into the particular app, but user will not be able to see that into the navigation bar. Instead of that, he will need to click on the app launcher icon, and from there he will search that particular tab. If it's default on, it means it will be, if it's added into the app, then it will be visible into the navigation bar also. And on the searching also, he can see. In the object permission, we can we can decide which object a user can see and what kind of action he can perform on that particular object. So action means like can he read the records, can he create the records, can he delete the records, or can he update the records. In the field permission, it's a next level of permission in after object permission. So once we have given an object level access to a user, in that particular object, which fields a user can see and edit, that we can control with the help of field permission. We have another level of settings also in profile level. So one is like login hours. So we can define the hours between a user can log in into the Salesforce. Okay. Let's for an example, if we have a marketing user, okay, and the marketing user work into the market. Okay, they run a various campaign, they meet with the people, they create leads. Okay, so what we want, like whenever they are in the market only, like the timing is 9 to 6, okay, or 9 to 5. So we want like they should put all the data between these particular hours only. Okay, so in that case, we can set the login hours. Okay. Similarly, we can set the login IP ranges also. So let's suppose we want all the users to be logging from a specific IP ranges only. Okay. Then we can set this IP ranges also. And when we set the IP ranges, so only the allowed IP ranges will be logging to allowed. So when we set IP range into the Salesforce, okay, then the IP which we are setting up, so only the users who is trying to log in from that particular IPs, they will be logged in. Okay, and login from any other IPs will not be allowed. And it's recommended like let's not set a IP range for a system admin profile. Okay, sometimes what happens like by mistake, instead of whole IP range, we just put a specific IP. So in that case, if you put that particular IP for system admin user only, and if you are not having access to that particular IP, then you will not be able to log in into the system, and they will not be able to do any other kind of actions. Okay. Apart from these these permissions, we have some not some like multiple permissions for system level also. For example, like we can define a user can export reports or not. They can view all the data, modify all the data. I can transfer cases and leads or not. And also like if you want to set his password not to expire, okay, then we can also set these. Okay. Apart from these, we can set the password policies also. So password policy, like sometimes we need to meet the company's security requirement. Okay, if a company say like like for their users, the password should be complex, then there are certain rules which we can apply to make these to meet these compliance of password requirement. Okay, so this password policy, it can be set in the at organization level also, or at a profile level also. Okay. And profile level password policy always override the worldwide password policies. Okay. So let's see in action like how and where we can uh, change these permissions on profile level. Okay. So coming back to the Salesforce. Okay. So again, I'm here. I will go in setup. We'll search for profile. Okay. Currently, we have only one sorry, we have Apex filters. There are multiple profiles. Okay. So there are two type of profiles. Basically, one is a student profile and another is custom profile. Okay. So what is different between standard and custom profile? So let me show you the standard profile first. So when we are on a standard profile and we try to edit that profile, then we have some limited like some restrictions we feel. So let's like for example, if I go into the system permissions, okay. Okay. See, I'm not able to edit these system permissions, right? So this is a kind of limitation when we are using the standard profiles. So to overcome with this limitation, what we do, we can create our own profile. Okay. And while creating a profile, so basically we need to choose an existing profile. Okay. So all the permissions on that particular profile will come here. Okay. I'm giving a name of system admin clone. Okay. I have saved it. Now let's see in the system permission. Okay. Now you'll see like I'll be able to edit these system level permissions also. See, I have the options. Okay. I was talking about export report. Okay, so we can control these permissions from here. I was talking about password never expire, so we can control it from here. Okay. Apart from it, I was talking about app visibility. So again, let me come to the system admin clone profile and let's see how we can do it. Okay. So we have assigned apps. Okay. So here we can control which Salesforce apps a user can see. Okay. So if I edit, we can control the visibility from here. Let's suppose if I do not want a user to see like service app, okay, then I can remove this from here. Okay. And if you want to make a app as a default, so whenever a user login, he should be redirect to that particular app directly. Then we can mark it as a default also. After app, we were talking about tab setting, right? So tab visibility will be controlled from object setting itself. When I go to object setting, okay, let's talk about the account itself. Okay, so account, we can control like what actions a user can take on the account. So here you can see if I edit it here. Okay. So for tab setting, you can see like three options we talked about: tab hidden, default off, and default on. So if you mark tab hidden, then user will not be able to see the tab into like an app launcher icon also. Okay. These are the object level permissions. Like we can give the read access, we can create the we can give the create access, edit access, and delete access. And this view all and modify all also we can give. So this view all and modify all basically override the role level security, record level security in Salesforce. We'll talk more about these also in coming slides. And here also we can maintain the field level permissions. Like if we want a user to remove the edit access for particular fields, okay, then we can remove these access from here. So if we remove these edit access, user will not be able to edit these particular fields on that account record. Okay, and if you want to completely hide that detail, let's suppose we do not want the users who will log in from this profile to see the billing address and annual revenue. Then we can remove this read access also. Okay. And what happens, like whenever we remove the read access, so edit access also automatically removes. Because if user is not able to read that particular field's value, he will not be able to edit the value also. Okay. So when we remove this read access, so it's not about the value only. User will not be able to see this field on the page layouts also, or reports also, or list views also. Even though this field is added into the list views, reports, dashboard, reports, and page layout, but user will not be able to see because he doesn't have access into this profile. Okay. Apart from these two, we talked about some other items also. We talked about login IP ranges, login hours. So let me show you that also. Okay. We talked about login hours. So here we can set the login hours, like by which time a user can log in into the Salesforce. Okay, we can edit it, and we can define the start time and end time for particular users. Okay. Let's suppose if I'm saying like on the Monday, if users should be able to log in from like 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, then I can save it. Okay, and for the days where I when where we left the start time and end time blank. So for that particular time, like users are able to log in from full day. Okay, like anytime they can log in and okay. The second was login IP ranges. Okay, which we were discussing. So here we can mention our start IP range and end IP address. So let's suppose if I add IP address of like any specific IP address, then the users falling between that particular IP range will be able to log in. Okay, and and this will applicable for this particular profile only, not the overall org. Okay. Apart from this, we were talking about password policies also. So on the profile base, we can control the password policy also, which we can control from here. Okay. So in the password policies, we have like when the user's password expire. So if it is 90 days, then after every 90 days, user will have to reset their password. So whenever it's trying to log in on that particular day, like Salesforce will force them to change the password. Okay. Like minimum password length is 8 character. The complexity is like it must include alpha and numeric characters. Okay. And we have more like if you want to increase the complexity, we can increase. Okay. So basically, the use of this password policies is to meet the company's compliance requirement and to secure their users' security. Like if user set the plain password, then there are more chances this password can be easily cracked via brute force attacks and various kind of attacks. But the password is more complex. The security is more complex to crack that passwords basically. And this password, like by default, these values are inherited from password policy we set at org level. Okay, so let me show you. So this same was set at the like 90 days, three password remember eight. So 90 days, three password remember eight. Or this was also set at particular password policy at company level. Okay, and when we change the password policy at profile level, then it override the company level's policy. So let's suppose if password expire, if we set it never expire. Okay, so the users from this particular profile for these particular users, the password will never expire. Salesforce will never force them to change their password. Okay, until unless they do not forget their password by their own and they click on the forward password, Salesforce will not force them to log in into like change their password basically. Okay, so this was about the profiles and the password policies. Now coming back to the slides, we'll see slides. Then again we'll come back to this Salesforce screen. Apart from profiles, we have permission sets also. So permission set also like control the similar kind of access the profile controls. But the benefit of permission set is like user can have more than one permission set. The first thing, the user can have only one profile, but multiple permission set can be aligned. And permission set basically extend the user's access without making any change into profile. Okay, so let's talk about a scenario where four or five users are into a profile. Okay, and out of these five users, one user need an additional access. Additional access means he needs some like all the users are having not having the delete access, but this particular user needed delete access on this particular record also, particular object also. So how we can do it? If we make this permission allow onto profile, then all five users will have that access. But if we give this access via permission set, then only that particular user will have this access. Okay. So there is a basically some different into difference between the profiles and permission set. So let's talk about them first. Then we will move to we'll see like how this permission set can be utilized, how we can create a permission set, how we can control the access, and how we can assign this to a particular user. Okay, so like first difference is like a user can have a single profile, but multiple permission set can be assigned to a user. So more than one permission set also can be assigned to a particular user. User can restrict user access from profile. Okay, but from permission set we can always extend the access. Nowadays, we have one option of mutating the permissions into the permission set and permission set group, but in this particular discussion, we are not talking about that feature. Now, record type, like we can set a default record type, and page layout also can be assigned on the basis of profile. But this thing cannot be done via permission set. Login hours and login IP ranges also can be managed via profiles, but this cannot be managed via permission set. Password policies can be set via profile, but this cannot be set into permission set. So these are some of the examples of the difference between profiles and permission set, but there can be more also. So it's on you, like how much you explore on the permission set, the difference between profile and permission sets. Now let's see this permission set into action, like how this permission set works, how we can create a permission set, and how we can assign it to the user. Okay. So in the setup, we need to search for permission set. Okay. We can create a new permission set here. Okay. I'm giving a name of Apex R. Okay. Now, like we need to choose a license also. So if we choose a none, then this permission set can be assigned to all type of users and okay. But if we choose a specific kind of permission license, then this license can be assigned to a user with that specific license. So as of now, I'm leaving it blank. Okay. Let's suppose let's go on to the object setting. Okay. And I'm going on the account. Okay. So we can assign report type, but we cannot assign a default report type here. Okay. And like we were talking about the giving the additional access. So I can give the delete access. Okay. And as soon as I give the delete access, user receive the read and edit also. Because to delete, I first need to see the record. I need to edit also, right? Then only I will be able to delete the record. Okay. So this is how we can create a permission set, and for multiple objects I can give it. Okay, like if for account they need the delete access, I can give the same delete access on the different object also. Let's say for lead also. Okay. Now how we can assign this permission set to a users? So directly from permission set also we can click on the manage assignment button. Okay. We can click on the add assignment. Okay. And from here we can select the users. Okay. We'll select, and from here we can click on the next. Okay. And we can assign. You could see we had an option also. Let me click on here. We have we can assign permanent set with the expiration date also. Okay, so if you want like these use like this permission, we want to give this permission for a week only, then I can save it. Okay, and this is done. So you could see like the license will be for Ansuza, this permission set will expire after this particular date. Okay, and like what happens like if we give like a permission is also there and a permission set also there. So what will happen like when we assign a permission set to a particular user, then whatever access they have with the help of their profile, that will remain. And the additional access which we give into the permission set, that will also they will get. Okay. And this was the one way how we were able to assign the permission set to the users. Apart from this, we can directly go into the user detail page also, and from there also we can give or remove the permission sets. So here I can give this assignment. Okay, so we created this apex R, right? From here also we can assign. Okay. So these were the two ways how we can assign permission set to particular users. Okay. Now next thing into the security setup is record level security. So let's like when we have given the object level security, field level security, users are able to see the object into the Salesforce. They have access of read access, write access. But the next step is that like users are having the same access on the profile level for a particular object. But we need to hide the records from each others, or we need to give the less access on the records from each other. Okay, then how we can do? Okay, at the record level. Okay, so when we want to restrict the record level access of any object, then it starts from organization by default. Okay, we can set different override defaults for different object. Okay, the following actions are available. Like we can set the override default for as a private for particular object. It means the record owner will only be able to see the record. Okay, no other users will be able to see. Okay, if it is in a public read only, then these records will be visible to all the users, but users will not be able to edit the record apart from the owner. Okay, then next is public read write. So it means like all the users can have the read and write access. This is like fully public. Okay, no security basically. Uh, Next, we have public read write transfer. So transfer is basically applicable for lead and case because these are two which can be transferred from one user to another in a single, like in their life cycle. The third is controlled by parent. So it works basically with master detail relationship. Okay, so whatever the access, like what the users will have access on the master record, the child record will be automatically accessed to the same permission. Okay, so if an object is on the detail side of master detail relationship, its override will be controlled by its parent only. And this override default is used to restrict the access only. Okay, once we restrict the access, we have several options to open up the access. Okay, so let's look into that also, like how we can open up the access. So, like opening up the access will be required only when we restrict the access into the or by default. So, restrict means either it's in a private or it's in a public read only. Then only we'll be able to open up it, because if it is by default public read, right, then we do not need this. We do not need to open up the access. So, to open up the access, we have role hierarchies. So user can edit, view, and report on the data owned by them or any user below them into the role hierarchy. So when I was talking about if record is private, like OWD is private or public read only, the owner was able to see the record in case of private. But there is a trick. So apart from that user, other user who were above him into the role hierarchy in the company's or by the, like in company's role hierarchy, we'll see how this role hierarchy is set up. That user also able to view the access and edit these records. Okay, and the on every OWD there is a checkbox, grant access using hierarchy. Okay, so this checkbox is by default enabled for all the standard object. Okay, for custom object we can control it. So for custom object, if we disable this button, then the users in the upper level hierarchy will not able to see or edit these records if OWD is private or public read only. Okay, and using role hierarchy, like we cannot restrict the access given by the org by default. We can only open up the access. Okay. Now another term is sharing rules. So sharing rule also used like can be used to share record with the public groups and roles. Uh, Now we will see like role hierarchy was able to give access to the role hierarchy. But via sharing, like in role hierarchy, we were to able to give the access to the roles in upper hierarchy only. Okay. But via sharing rule, we can give access to the lower hierarchy also or the parallel hierarchy also. Okay. The same like it cannot restrict the access given by or by default. We can only open up the access. Okay. And we can select the record to be shared by owner. Okay. Or record owner of records or criteria. So basically, if we want to save the records, so first we need to select these records. Okay, so there are two mechanisms. One is like we can select a record by owner, or we can apply some criteria also. Like if leads are not like leads are coming from this particular city, or like case status, case is priority. Like there are the criteria which we can set basically. Okay. Now, like total 300 sharing rules can be defined for each object. Okay. And up on that particular object, we can create 50 criteria based sharing rules also. 50 criteria based sharing rules also can be set. And this 50 also comes under the limit of these 300. So if we are setting up the criteria base and owner base, then both in 250 of owner base and 50 of record based criteria based sharing rules we can set. Apart from this, we have manual sharing option also. So user can click on a record and there is a share button on the little page. So with the help of that, user can share the records also. Okay. So users like to provide the manual sharing, user should be at least one of the following. He should be record owner, or he should have a full access of that particular record via anyhow either via role hierarchy, via sharing tools. View all data. So this can be set at a profile level basically. So we see in the profile level like there were two options: view all data and modify all data. So if a user is having view all data profile, view all data access on the profile level, or modify all data access on the profile level, then with the help of view all data, he will be able to view all the records of that particular object also. And if he is modify all data, then he will be able to edit the all records of that particular object. This can be set into the system permission also. So if we set this at these two permission at system permission level in profile, then the users will be able to see all records data, and they will be able to edit the all records data. Okay. Now let's see them into action, like how, like where we can set these particular options. Okay. So first, we are coming to Salesforce setting. And in setting, we see OWD or by defaults. Okay. Let's edit it. Okay. So you could see like for lead, it's public lead right transfer option is available, but for account, it's not. For case, it is available. For opportunity, it's not available. Okay. These are the standard object. So this grant access using hierarchy button is disabled. Okay. So let me come to a custom object. This is my custom object. You can see we can remove this access. Okay. So let me mark it as a private. Okay. So as soon as I mark it as a private, Okay, currently it's not marked. It will take some time. Let me reload. Now you can see it's marked as a private. So it means the only the owner of that particular record will be able to see the records. So we can try it, right? So let me go my OBJ. Okay. Since tab is not created for this particular object, so okay. So I'm creating a record here. Okay. Uh, okay. And remember, we created a profile system admin clone. So let me go into the profile and let me show you like in the system permission where we have this view all data and modify all data permission. Okay, let's edit it. Okay. See, we have this view all data and similarly we have modify all data. So modify all data is already removed. Let me save it. Now let's come at the object level and let's see where we can control this view all data and modify all data and object also. Let me search for my OBJ. I'll remove this. Now we are saving this profile. I will assign a user under it. Okay, I'm going on the users. Okay, let me go on to the user. Okay, I'm changing the profile of this particular user. But apart from this, let me change the profile of different user. This Ansuja. I'm giving him the access of system admin clone. Okay, and let me log in from this user. I'm going into the my OBJ. See, we are not able to see this record here. But if Ansuja create a record here, okay, we will be able to see this record under here. There must be some. So here we'll like this is the same user RP3 and we are able to see both user both records here. But for Ansuja, we are not able to see the RP3 record. Okay. Now this is how we can control the sharing. Now if we want to give access to Ansuja also this RP3 record, then what we will do, we'll create a sharing rule. Okay, for my OBJ. So let me go and okay, my UBJ. Yeah. Okay. So what we can do, like yeah, sharing this record. Okay. So based on the record owner, so like we need to select like which records to be shared. So we cannot have like single for single user. We cannot write like it's not like if record is created by Arpit, then share it with the Ansuja. No. So basically, we have like either via roles we can select or via portal roles, public groups. These are the options are available. Okay. So what I will do, like I have selected a public group, all internal users. So record owned by any of the user. Okay, I want to say that record with the another public group that is also an internal user. It means so it will behave basically like public read write only. And here I can give the access like read write or read only. Okay, so I'm giving a read only access now. And let me save it. Okay, okay. Now let me log in again log in with this user Ansu Jha. Okay, okay. Let's log in. Let's go to my OBJ. Okay. So now we have two options, right? Mansusa and Arpit. Both reports are visible. Okay. This is how we can give that. And and we give a read access only. So if we like Ansuja is owned by Ansuja report, so he has full access. If I want to edit anything, I'll be able to edit on this report. But let's try editing on the Arpit report. So we can see this edit icon here, and I'm trying to edit here, but it will not allow me to edit the record because I don't have necessary privileges to edit this record. Okay, that's how it like it following the record level security. Okay. Now I'm just logging out from Ansusa and coming back to slides. Okay, now next. So what will happen when profile level then like when profile level is there and record level security is also there? Who will win? Okay, so let me give you some examples. If on a profile, if we have read, edit, delete access, okay. But via record level security, if the user is having read only access, then he will only be able to read the record. He will not be able to edit the record. We have seen an example of it. Now, if a if on a particular profile which user is assigned and it has only read access, okay, and via record level security, if a user is having read write access both, in that case also user will not be able to edit the record because he doesn't have a baseline access into profile. So in profile level and record level security, the combination of both of them works. Okay, like if a single one is having the access, he will not be able to perform the action. If he has access at profile level, but he doesn't have it at the record level, then system will not allow to edit them. If they have access, users have access on the record level, but on they doesn't have access on the profile level also, then also system will not allow them to perform that particular action. So they both respect each other. Okay. Now, next is like in UI setup, there are two things which we will talk about here. So, list view. So, whenever we want to frequently see the filter data on a particular object tab, then we create a list views there. Okay. And global actions are used to perform some predefined action without leaving the current screen where user are currently working. Okay. And user can perform some actions like they can create records, they can update record, they can send email, and like that. So let me show you how this works into the Salesforce, how list views is useful, how we can create, how we can share the list view with other users. Okay. So I am coming on opportunity object. Okay. These are the list views are by default available. So let's see if you want to see the opportunity created newly into this week, we can see from here. Okay. Currently no data is there. So what is the magic here? Some filters are applied here. So created date equal to this week basically. If I want to see the opportunity created today only, then I can create my own list view. How can I create my own list view? I will click on this gear icon, setting icon. I will click on the new. Okay. Uh, I will say all new today. Okay. Here is the security like sharing of list view. So if I choose this first one, then only I can see the list view. The person who is creating the list view, he will be able to see. Okay. If I click on this, then all the users in this org will be able to see. If I want to share this list with the particular users, then I will choose this particular option. So public groups. Okay. So let's see, I'm just giving this of access. Now I'll need to apply some filters here. So let's say create a date and equal to today. Okay. So if I will create a new opportunity here, this will be visible. This is a required field. I will put account name. I will put something. Let me create a new account. Company. Company name is Apex Hours. I'll save it for now. I'll say I need to select stage also. No. So if I again go to opportunity and I see all new today, then I'll be able to see it here. Okay. So now we were talking about the global actions also. So let's suppose I'm working on this opportunity. Okay, and I want to perform some actions. Okay, I want to create a task. Okay, I want to create a new lead basically. So if I want to create a new lead, I would have to go on the lead and I need to click on the new. But in that case, I will miss out like what I was doing on this particular screen. So I simply click here. I will click on the new lead. This screen will pop up. I will put some information like Arpit test and this lead will be created. Okay. In later phase, whenever I will go into the lead, okay, I'll be able to see this. Okay. How we can create these global actions? So let me show you into the okay. So here is the global action. Okay, in the setup, you can click on this new button. Okay. Let's suppose I want to create record of my OBJ. Okay. And I will give on the my OBJ. I'll save it here. But it's not visible here till now. Okay. Now also I will set it here. This is the layout. Basically, I save it, but still it's not visible here. So what I need to do, I will go in the publisher layout. I will see this layout is there. Okay, I will add my OBJ here. Okay, sorry, here it's lightning basically. Okay. I will save it. Still not visible. I will reload the page. I could see my OBJ here. I can simply create a record from here. So I will I do not need to use the current screen. It will help me to save my time, the persons, my users who are working into the Salesforce helps to save that the time of particular users. Okay, coming back to the slides. Now it's time to twist your mind. Okay, so what happened to records owned by a user when a user is deactivated? Will all the records be deleted, or anything else will happen? So no. So user will not be able to user when we deactivate a user. So the records owned by that user are not deleted. They still remain same into the Salesforce itself. Only thing if that record were manually shared with other users, then this manual sharing will be lost. Okay. The second twisting is Apex are use Salesforce and they want to onboard 5 new users. This should have almost same access into the Salesforce, apart from one user who need edit access on account object in addition to what all the access other 4 user have. As a system admin, how we will achieve this? Think. Okay, let me tell you. We can create a profile and we can assign all 5 users into that profile and we can give all all access they need apart from this edit access on the account. Okay. Now we can create another permission set. We can give edit access into that particular permission set and we can assign that permission set to that particular user. This is how we can achieve this. Okay. Okay. That's all for the day. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you in the next video. You can follow ApexR on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You can subscribe on YouTube, and this is the website of ApexR where you can visit and you can see details about other sessions, upcoming sessions also. Thank you so much.